Hello, my name is Tom Houlihan. I work with the Teagasc Forestry Development Department, which provides independent advisory, training and research supports to the farm forestry sector in Ireland. The theme of today's presentation is the Basic Payment Scheme with a focus on forestry issues, and we will go through some of these issues over the next number of minutes. So at this stage, I will share the presentation slides with you. The presentation today will include some key issues on the Basic Payment Scheme. We will look at the range of available forestry planting categories. Then we will focus on interactions between the Basic Payment Scheme and forestry, including the requirements for eligible forestry parcels. I will also outline how to enter forestry parcels in your basic payment submission. I will identify some issues to look out for when completing the application, and finally outline the range of supports available. So firstly, a few general issues on the basic payment. And remember, the application is one of the most important applications for the year. So please give it the timely attention it deserves. The submission deadline is Friday the 15th of May, which is fast approaching. Teagasc enterprise advisors are very busy and with current restrictions are answering questions and processing applications over the phone and making good progress. Following basic payment engagement with their advisor, clients will receive a copy of the submitted application and are asked to check it carefully and notify their advisor promptly of any necessary amendments. So to look at examples of available planting categories, trees can be very beneficial on the farm, whether small or large areas are being considered. They can fit in very well as a complementary enterprise within the farming mix. And this slide gives some examples of the planting categories available, 12 in all, under the current Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine Afforestation Scheme. The scheme caters for all types of forests, from conifer categories to broadleaf options, from native woodland categories to agroforestry, which combines trees with agriculture. For approved applicants, grants are available that in most cases cover all the costs of establishment and early management. These grants are in addition to annual income tax-free premiums. A further very important benefit is the capacity to retain the basic payment on planted parcels when certain eligibility requirements are met. So overall, this is a very attractive package. And moving to these eligibility requirements for forestry parcels, this eligibility is linked back to the land parcel as declared in 2008 within the single payment scheme, which was a forerunner to the current basic payment scheme. So eligible land declared in a single payment scheme application in 2008 and which was planted in any year since 2009, so since January of 2009, or which will be planted in 2020, can continue to be eligible for a basic payment this year once it satisfies conditions, including the land to be planted was declared on the 2008 single payment scheme application, and this declared land was eligible and gave a right to payment under the 2008 single payment scheme. Another requirement: to benefit from the basic payment on planted land, applicants must be the person or persons in joint management in receipt of the forestry premium, and this applies to members of the same family. So the basic payment applicant's name must appear on both the herd number and the forestry contract number. This requirement should be fully considered in cases where the farm is being transferred, including within families. So to give a notional example, let's say a father transfers his farm, herd number and entitlements to his son, The FODder retains the existing forestry parcels, and the FODder continues to be the forestry premium applicant. However, in the basic payment application, the forestry parcels are claimed by the son. In this situation, the son's name is on the herd number and basic payment application, but the father's name is on the forestry contract. So eligibility is not being met. Unless surplus eligible land is available, the entitlements are not being used. To resolve this, the basic payment applicant's name must be included in both the herd number and forestry contract. Also, remember, in order to secure and retain entitlements, all entitlements in an application must be used over a 2-year period. There is good news this year for those considering forestry in relation to a relaxation of the 3 hectare or 10% rule for retention of land. The previous requirement for applicants planting was to retain at least 10% of the eligible hectares declared in 2008 in an agricultural activity, and this was subject to a minimum area of 3 hectares for the purpose of retaining basic payment eligibility. This requirement does not apply for new planting during 2020. So if an applicant plants in 2020, he or she can plant all the land if desired and claim the 2020 basic payment on this planted land. Also, this 3 hectare or 10% retention is not required to ensure continued eligibility for forests planted prior to 2020. Let's move on to the filling in of forestry parcels in the basic payment application. The appropriate parcel use to include will depend on the timing of forest establishment. So, for parcels planted before 2009, the parcel use is forestry. For eligible parcels planted between 2009 and 2019 inclusive, if the parcel use is pre-printed as forestry eligible, leave as is. This is correct. Otherwise, enter a parcel use according to the forestry year of planting. For example, if the forest was planted in 2016, enter a parcel use of forestry 2016 in the application, and then these parcels, assuming they are eligible, will be amended to forestry eligible following basic payment processing. For 2020 parcels and for eligible parcels planted already or in the process of being planted in 2020 before the basic payment deadline of the 15th of May, the parcel use appropriate is forestry 2020. For parcels to be planted in 2020 but not yet started at the date of submission, enter the accurate parcel use as of the submission date. Then the parcel use should be amended following planting, which is allowable as it is moving from one eligible crop to another, and at that stage input forestry 2020 as the parcel use on this amendment. A few basic issues to look out for. We recommend applicants check their application thoroughly before submission and on receipt of a copy of the submission application. Remember, 1 eligible hectare is required per entitlement. Ensure all relevant parcels are included. Have details of any changes within parcels at hand for inclusion in your basic payment submission when engaging with your advisor. Also check that the parcel areas are correct and appropriate. The 3 relevant areas are the digitized area of the overall parcel, the maximum eligible area of the parcel, and the actual area of the parcel being claimed as eligible. This is the claimed area. Remember also, May the 31st is the deadline for amendments without incurring penalty, and these amendments include the addition of parcels or amended claimed area. This slide is very important In order to activate and use entitlements, the appropriate claimed area must be included for all eligible parcels, both forestry and otherwise. In this notional example of a forestry plot, the digitized area is 1.67, but the maximum eligible area and the claimed area are both 0. If this forest parcel meets all eligibility requirements, the correct MEA and claimed area must be inputted rather than 0. The applicant should tick the box which refers to a request change of MEA. A red box will pop up, allowing the applicant to input the reason for change. For example, the parcel in question is eligible and meets all the required criteria. In this case, if the full parcel area is eligible, both the MEA and the claimed area should be 1.67, not 0. The Teagasc Forestry Development Department have a team of 8 experienced forestry advisors covering the country, and also a forestry liaison officer that are available for all your forestry queries, including new farm forestry options and forest management best practices, which is backed up by in-house research staff. So ongoing support is available. There are many ways to keep in touch with Teagasc Forest Advisory Support. Contact us by phone, text, email or post. The forestry section of the Teagasc website is packed with useful information, and within this website you can subscribe to the forestry e-newsletter that will keep you right up to date. The Teagasc Forestry YouTube channel has a wide range of informative videos. Our various social media platforms are also a great way to stay in touch. Over 43,000 Teagasc clients receive a quarterly forestry newsletter and a bi-monthly magazine called Today's Farm, all valuable sources of information, advice, news and research updates. So keep in touch. So that brings us to the end of today's presentation on the basic payment scheme with a focus on forestry. We have looked at some of the main issues involved around submission of the application form. We have looked at forestry eligibility criteria and how to fill in forestry parcels in your basic payment application. I hope you have found this a useful source of information. Encourage you to stay in touch, and at this stage I wish you and your family continued health and well-being in these challenging times. Take care.